Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, the podcast, the weekly MLB The Show podcast, in which we talk about whatever the heck we want every Tuesday. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, etc. Today, we are talking about the collections to come on Sunday, July 27th. This weekend, it seems like multiple collections are coming. It looks like a Hall of Fame collection tied to the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and then a Legends and Flashbacks collection on top of that. But both of those things are also plural, so I don't know if they're talking about each other, as in one collection, another collection, or if the Legends and Flashbacks going to have multiple tiers. I don't know. It's a clusterfuck in the MLB The Show streets these days. But we're going to talk about what I think you're going to need for the actual collections. Okay? I think that's useful content. So let's see. Let's talk about it. I hit the wrong button, but disregard, and now we're back. Here we go. If you are just listening, thank you for being here. Not necessarily one that is pivotal to come over to YouTube, but it's better visually, so come over to YouTube if you have the time. Also, just a quick PSA, I uploaded to TikTok, Shorts, and Reels for the first time in like a year yesterday. Gonna try to be a little more consistent on those platforms. So if you're not following me on TikTok or Instagram, it's the same as my handle on YouTube and Twitter. Go find me everywhere. Thank you. Here we go. Let's talk. So, I have 203,000 stubs at time of recording, and I'm recording at 5 p.m. the night before you're listening to this. So not much will change to when you're listening. So I do have not a lot of stubs. By no means is that a lot, but it's enough to like give me a little bit of a cushion just in case I need to spend. I am already anticipating spending on the next crop of Spotlight players that come out, because Spotlight players and Topps Now players are always part of the collection. So I'm ready to be updated on that. And then I have, just to fill out any other things I can think of, like any other random things I'm overlooking. I do think it's important to note, actually, let's jump out of this really quickly and go to our inventory. I do think it's important to note, with Hall of Fame content coming out specifically this weekend, I think there's going to be a Hall of Fame voucher. So it's going to be these two guys, and then plus our new Hall of Fame inductees, because those will surely be Hall of Fame cards. I think it would make logical sense for that to be a new voucher added to the collection. Although, it'd be kind of yucky. I'd say very yucky, because a lot of people don't have Gil Hodges, because Shohei is the most expensive card in the game, and Ted Williams is the most expensive collection currently in the game, other than Carlos Beltran, other than Live Series. So, I would find it yucky. Hopefully they make it a situation where you just have to have the Hall of Fame induction cards locked in and not these two. That'd be nice. These two guys give you a head start. Very curious to see how they play that out. We know with each passing Legends and Flashbacks collection update, they add new vouchers. This is probably the next one. It's just important to mention. And if I'm wrong, I'd love to be wrong, because it's one less thing we have to worry about. I'd love to be wrong about that. But let's go to the actual collections. Here's the lay of the land. As always, you will need these mini collections to tier up to the big one. So, Cal Raleigh's going to be a voucher, Holiday is going to be a voucher, Aaron Judge is going to be a voucher, and so on and so forth. But let's get to the places where there's some variance, right? So, I hope you have all of your Color Storm guys, or at least enough of them. Well, 15. 15 is all you need for the voucher. We already know. At this point, most people will have 15. So, that's easy peasy. Let's go to awards. So, for the Ted Williams voucher, you needed 4 cards. This was a voucher added for Ted Williams. It did not exist for Scott Rowland. The 4 cards I had locked in were Clevens, Rowland, DJ LeMahieu, former Yankee, and Ted Simmons. Now, clearly, there are a lot more awards cards available in the game, most of which are pretty cheap right now. $8K for Jonah Heim, $7K, $8.5, $6, 7. Like, a lot of these were either BR cards that came down in price, or they were multiplayer program, etc. So this one should be pretty easy to fill out. Class A's free. Halliday is free in the multiplayer program, or you can buy him. Same thing for Sheffield. Corbin Burns, if you played Weekend Classic, you could earn him, though he is 120K now. Yikes. I'm expecting something like, I don't know, how many are there? 4, 8, 12, 16? 12? 10, 11, 12, something like that. You can't assume people have Clemens and Roland. These are, a chase card and a BR guy. I could see 10 as a reasonable number. Let's see how reasonable they choose to be. The Scott Rowland collection was very difficult. The Ted Williams collection, compared to Rowland, markedly less difficult. So we'll see if they're lenient with us here. They just dumped collection content all over us during All-Star Week. I'm hoping they just throw us a bone here and make it a little easier. Milestone. There are 9 cards. For Ted Williams, you needed to get 3. Again, this was a new voucher added for Ted. This one, truth be told, I have found very easy to make progress on. Grady Sizemore was a Weekend Classic reward. I sold him when I got him. I purchased him back. When the Rewind Weekend Classic stuff came back, cheap, cheap, cheap. Reed Detmers, program. Cal Ripken, program. Alfonso Soriano, because he is a throwback reward, cheap, cheap, cheap. Clayton Kershaw, free. So I would expect this to be at least 7. Because there really is no excuse to not have that many, and I know that sounds aggressive, but the only ones that might be tough to get are Zimmerman, but even not really anymore, and Joe Nathan. So I'm saying it's 7, and maybe they drop more on us in the coming days. This is subject to change based on what content comes out, of course. Contributor, this one I have 100%. This one's very easy to keep up with. They really don't drop cards for contributor anymore. The most recent ones are Willie Stargell, who, cheap, 8K, and Frank Thomas, who's 37. So, he's a World Series reward, a current World Series reward. He will be cheaper if you want to wait. He's also not that expensive, all things considered, at this point. You might not even need him. I think I collected 30, which means I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 extras right now, so that means I have 33. I don't think you'll need too many for this one. This one shouldn't be too bad. Most people are not worrying about contributor. Similarly, I don't think anyone's worrying about Last Ride, because this has not changed since the Ted Williams update. I don't know if that means we automatically get the voucher. I don't know if they're going to drop some cards here soon. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't count. That'd be great. But this one is not a problem. 20th anniversary. If you kept up with the last update and you got Honus Wagner, you don't got to worry about this. In terms of the rookie one, they have added a couple cards. They added Yu Darvish, who you can get free in his program and very early on, so super simple. You don't even have to go all the way to the end. And then Devin Williams, who is cheap, 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 and honestly, very good for most people. I have 16 innings online, all Hall of Fame. He's got a 1.69 ERA and a .63 whip. This is not about team building this episode, but he should probably be in your bullpen if you need some help. I know a lot of top players can hit him pretty well, but if you're playing on Hall of Fame and below, you're not facing many top players. So I'd give him a try if I'm being honest. Regardless, though, another easy one. You needed 11 for Ted, 4, 8, 12, 13. Probably need 12 or 13. That'd be my guess. Breakout. The only additions made to this, or the only addition made to this, is this Ryan Helsley from BR, who is now 7,500 because he was released in the Rewind pack. So, easy peasy. There are 11 cards here. You needed 9 for Williams, so guess what? It's probably going to be the 11, because Scott Rowland was 7. 7, 9, 11. Goes by 2s. That'd be my guess. All-Star. This is always going to be one of the weird ones, and this is why I have stub capital left over. 31 All-Star cards for Scott Rowland was wildly expensive. 45 for Ted Williams, while still expensive, was not as expensive as I thought it would be. So what I've done is I've purchased enough cards where I feel kind of comfortable. There are only 4 that I don't have. Mickey Mantle, Barry Larkin, Ronald Acuna, Felix Bautista. I can afford all of them individually. Not collectively, but individually I can afford them. I'm waiting to see what happens. Maybe more All-Star cards come out that are easier to get. Maybe I don't need that many. I also have some guys that if I really need to, if they get more expensive, I can flip them and make some stubs that way. Pedro could go up a tick. K-Line could go up a tick. Just guys I'm prepared, Yordan could go up. Devers could go up. Guys I have no attachment to, that if this collection is easier to do than I thought, I will just get rid of those guys and buy them back later. It's a good, mini investment strategy. But All-Star is always going to be tough. The way I've been able to keep up with it, especially lately, is I cannot tell you how many times I have replayed the Draft Day Conquest map. I just keep playing it. It takes maybe an hour. It's 5 games. You can play them as fast or as quickly as possible. What I mean is you can either beat the piss out of the CPU as much as you want, or you can score 2 runs and bunt your way out. If you're farming packs, do that method. 2 runs and bunt. For me, I was also using it to parallel my God Squad, so I was kind of in between there. But an hour might even be too long if you're just doing the bunt method. Farm packs. At worst, you get 3 rounds. At worst, you're getting 15K in an hour because you're going to quick sell 3 cards at 5K. But there's also a likelihood you pull one of the big guys who's 35, 40K, or you pull one of those tweener guys who's like 8K. You have a pretty wide range of outcomes, but you can farm that quicker than Diamond Quest because it's also easier than Diamond Quest, and those top guys are still retaining value. If you pull Eli Willits, he's like 60K. It's the way to farm stubs right now. No glitches required, very little skill required. Put whatever guys you want in a lineup. You can grind team affinity along the way. It is the most versatile way to grind the game at this moment. I suggest you do it. But that is a tangent to get back to the original point of if you're short on stubs, you have time. You have 5 days if you're able to just put everything else in this game aside and grind that conquest map. Get the stubs you need and either hold them until the collection comes out or pre-buy things before prices skyrocket, because prices will probably go up when the collection drops. For Veteran, the only addition made, pretty sure the only addition made, was Yu Darvish. And he also is free in the Yu Darvish program. And I also don't think he's the best version of it. So, easy to get, halfway along the path. A lot of these card series kind of get neglected as the year goes on, as they give us overpowered signature series, Hall of Fame series, award series, milestone series. It's kind of a shame. Like, I know they're meant to be early game cards, but there are definitely like veteran caliber or veteran seasons that are 99 caliber. I would just like to see these cards stay a little more in rotation, is all I'm getting at. Because these are also typically based off real card art. And I find that fun. So just a little nitpick. Not actually a big deal, but just a thought. Second half hero is going to be an interesting one, I think, for the first time. Typically, it's pretty straightforward. 16 for Roland, 19 for Ted Williams. It might be tricky for some people. Because if you go back down through it, let's start at the bottom again. Cards that are semi-difficult to obtain. Berkman and Rollins were, but they are now very, very affordable from Rewind packs. Trevor Hoffman is a collection card for the Padres. You have to get Tatis. Steve Finley is a collection card for the Diamondbacks. You have to get Ketel. They're not cheap. Randy Johnson is a chase card, though he is now 45K, so much more affordable. Chase Headley is an NL West collection, so that ain't cheap. You have to have Shohei. Brian Dozier, Twins. No, he's not a Twins collection. I'm sorry. Scratch that from the record. But then you have here Tom Seaver, who's BR, I believe. Trey Turner, Chase Pack, 75K. And then Tim Raines, World Series Reward, 37. So I could see second half being a sneaky, difficult one for some people. None of these cards are like crazy expensive, but when you factor in the fact that they're collections for the NL West, yeah, a few of them might be. You needed 19 for Ted. There are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 26. It went up 3 in between last time. So let's say 22. And that allows you to skip the 4 most difficult to get. So in that sense, it's going to be Trey, Seaver, Headley, and either Finley or Trevor Hoffman. You're probably going to have one of them. That's my guess. 22 cards for that one. Sneaky difficult one this time around. Could be worse, by the way. I hope not, but it could be. Spotlight, as I said, you got to be keeping up with Spotlight. Have to be keeping up with Spotlight. At the last update for the Ted Williams one, I think you had to have every single card up until he came out. Or close to it. Maybe not every single one. Definitely close to it, though. Looks like you could skip a few. It's still nice to be kept up with it anyway, because when the Retro Lightning comes out, you're going to want that card. I understand I'm speaking from a place of having some stubs liquid. It is very, very annoying this year to keep up with all of the collections. I am not a fan of all of the collections. I've said that. Very moronic people misunderstood that statement as me saying I hate all the content they're giving us. That's not at all what I said. I think the amount of content is awesome. The lineup variety is incredible. You can release all of this content without collection locking all of it. But they've chosen to do both. Lots of content that's also collection locked. That's what I don't like. So it is very difficult to keep up with these things. That's why I'm doing this episode a little earlier in the week. So hopefully you do have some time or desire to grind out that conquest. I promise you right now, that is the most cost-effective, least difficult, no headaches way of grinding stubs. It is. Some people will still say DQ is more effective because of the prices of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Javi Baez. Those are people comfortable playing on Hall of Fame Legend and GOAT. If you're not one of those people, this is your grinding method. I promise. Postseason cards. I'm pretty sure the only thing that's been added here... Well, they gave us this Marichal from his Evolution program. They gave us this Semien from an Evolution program. And then this Manny Machado. Was he multiplayer? He might have been a multiplayer program. From 6 up to 13, that was a big jump, but they also added a lot of cards. I wouldn't be shocked for 8, 12, 16 if they made this 15 or 16. 16 seems aggressive, but like none of these guys are too difficult to obtain. This might just be a full 16. And for some of them, that's okay. Something like Postseason, that's fine. Standout, which had been a very difficult one, should not be this difficult this time. It went from 5 for Roland, which, as you might remember, we had to scramble to go get Chris Bryant out of mini-seasons to do that. Then 12 to Ted Williams, and not a ton has really changed since. A lot of these cards are pretty cheap now, like Rengifo, 8K. Who the hell is this? Tony Perez. He's a headliner, so he's 10K. Yu Darvish, free in the program. Al Leiter, World Series reward, but now 6K. Free in the multiplayer program. Headliner, so he's pretty good as a bullpen arm, but 20K, not that bad. The only one really still super expensive in here is Posada at 50K, because a lot of these other guys, they might be, that's a Yankee collection. I get that. That's behind Aaron Judge. You got to have Trout for this, but Trout isn't crazy expensive anymore. Orioles collection is not hard, though he is AL East, so all right, you got to have Judge. I am optimistic that this one is not as hard for people as it was before. Everyone's situation is different. If you don't have Judge, you're automatically not having O'Day or Paul O'Neill, though. So that's difficult. But if it's 4, 8, 12, 16, 19 cards, I think they could give you a solid 16 on this one. 15 or 16, and you'll get this. If it's 16, that allows you to not have O'Day, not have O'Neill, and maybe not like a Jorge or a Leiter. I think that's fair, to be perfectly honest. Cornerstone, keep up with these. Keep up with these. I think new Cornerstone cards are also coming out on Friday because a new innings coming out. So do them first, because you're going to be effed if you don't have them. You're going to be screwed, because that's going to be a voucher you're going to be falling behind on. I normally do not prioritize the Cornerstone cards. The only one of all the Cornerstone cards I've actually liked is Marcus Semien. He was my God Squad second baseman for like a minute. Usually these cards are just a tick behind the power creep. Though, we are at a point where 99s are flying off the shelves, so maybe they'll be good. I'm hopeful they're good. I want a good starting pitcher. I want a good reliever. I want a good right fielder, maybe. Give me some variety. But be ready to do your cornerstones, because it's going to be a grind. And then Topps now, I plan to have every single one of them except Willie Castro, and even at this point, 46K, he ain't that bad. I keep up with this because I want to be ready for these collections. Most of these cards stink. I have not sniffed using any of them. I would love for them to drop a Topps Now card that's actually worth my time. But they are just a weekly tax on your bankroll. It's unfortunate. You had to hit 40 for Roland, 80 for Ted Williams. 120 for whoever this next one is. So, it is not fun, the state of collections in MLB The Show. It is important to note these are not intended to be done day one. Lunatics like me like to have it done ASAP. I make content, but I also invest enough time in this game where I want to receive that reward. I want to be able to benefit from the time I put into the game. So I will shoot to have this card or cards, whomstever they are, as fast as humanly possible. But if you need to take your time, take your time. When prices go up on Sunday, because inevitably the prices will go up on Sunday when people see what they need. Read the room. If you need like 10 cards, do not spend your stubs that day on all the cards. Wait until the prices come back down, because they will faster than you think. The longer time goes on, the easier these are to achieve, because more cards come out to get the vouchers. If you need 2 cards and that's all it takes to unlock whoever this is, up to you. I will probably spend stubs in that instance just to get it done, because I'm impatient. But be smart. Stubs are so hard to come by this year. If you're just casual and you don't want to grind that conquest over and over and over again. Listen, it ain't for the faint of heart. It's boring. I do it because that's how I want to make my stubs, to stay fluid and to have options in this game. Some people don't have the time for that. Some people have very strenuous jobs, children, family, other life stuff. They could play a couple hours a day, if that. You don't want to spend that just grinding your conquest. You want to play the damn game. I get it. And I feel it. I feel for you. If you have the time and you're looking for a way to make stubs, do that. Otherwise, just be patient. Finish it at your own pace. I am hopeful, going back to this original point here, because it is plural, Legends and Flashbacks collections. Don't know what that means, but I'm hopeful that it is a tiered system. In the past, if you've collected 8 vouchers, you got 1 legend, and then if you collected like all 15 or whatever the number was, you got the Super Omega Giga Legend. That'd be cool. Let's start spicing it up. The 99s are here. Clearly, the doors have been blown off the whole thing. Let's just start throwing more cards at us. The collection for Hall of Fame, I'm a little confused about. Typically, there will just be a program for every new Hall of Famer, and you just unlock the card at the end. I don't know what type of collection we can have, unless it's like collect all the new Hall of Famers to get a Hall of Fame Babe Ruth. That might be cool. I'm here for that. That's the only thing I can think of where that makes sense. It doesn't have to be Babe Ruth. It could be Willie May. An Inner Circle Hall of Famer. Collect all these guys for an Inner Circle Hall of Famer. There are a lot of people saying they want Ichiro. I share that sentiment of wanting him. I highly, 99.7% doubt it's going to be Ichiro. How cool it would be. But I doubt it. We'll see. All right, we'll see. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you have the time to get some stubbies. I wish you the best of luck in your pursuits of this new legend. All right? Check out all the shorts content we got. Follow all those channels. Check out the rest of the content on YouTube later this week. Love you guys. See you next time.